Ciao, and welcome to Immersion Travel Italy, where we don't just visit Italy, we experience it. I'm Caterina Ferrara, travel author and festival enthusiast, bringing you insider tips, hidden gems, and unforgettable adventures across Italy. From grand religious processions to lively food sagas, I'll take you beyond the guidebooks to immerse yourself in Italy's richest and most historical traditions. Whether you're planning your next trip or dreaming of La Dolce Vita, join me as we explore the heart and soul of Italy, one festival at a time. And today we're here to talk about Castel Gandolfo and the festivals of Castel Gandolfo as part of my ultimate festival and travel guide, Rome and Beyond. Castel Gandolfo is just a little bit outside of Rome, about 30 minutes by car to arrive there. And it's set in the beautiful hills with a beautiful view of Lago Albano from the city. It's up on a ridge that overlooks the lake. Castel Gandolfo has been civilized since before the Roman Empire, so the 5th century BC. And Roman Emperor Domitian actually built his palace here when he wanted to get outside of Rome. So there are archaeological ruins in Castel Gandolfo that you can see of that palace. After the fall of the empire, the area fell into ruins, and it wasn't until the 12th century that the Gandolfi family from Genoa started to rule the area, and they built the original palace there, or castle, fortress, for their family. And then in 1596, the popes took over the area and also took over the town and the palace as it was. And in the 17th century, the Papal Palace, as it exists today, was built. The Papal Palace is interesting because in the past, it has always been the summer place where the Pope could go. And it also, during World War II, housed many refugees. So the Pope opened it up for refugees who needed to hide during the World War. Today, this is a picturesque town with a population of 8,600, so not too big and not too small. And under Pope Francis, the palace has actually been opened as a museum that's accessible to the public for the first time. The other thing the Pope did, which was interesting, is there is a special railway that runs from Rome to the castle and back for the popes that has been used for hundreds of years, and he opened that to the public as well. During certain times of the year, they run trains back and forth to Rome directly to Castel Gandolfo on the papal train. Also, in the 18th century, the popes decided that they needed to have a way to sustain the palace and the people working in the palace. And so they created a working farm. And it's really interesting because if you go to the Vatican breakfast at the Vatican museums before the Vatican opens, which is a special option there, you actually have breakfast, and they talk about at breakfast how the eggs are from the papal farms. And so they're using some of those food items from the papal farms to feed you breakfast, which I thought was really cool. So I wanted to tell you about our visit to Castel Gandolfo. Our first visit, we've been there a few times, but it was me and my husband Mike and my son Augustus. Augustus was 10. And we actually arrived in Rome and wanted to be a part of the papal audience that happens every single week on Wednesday. And so before we left, I was doing my research to figure out how you can get into the papal audience. And I found out that Pope Benedict, who was the Pope at the time, summers at Castel Gandolfo, and therefore he was going to have his papal audience at Castel Gandolfo. So I got special permission from the office that handles that, and we got essentially free tickets to enter into Castel Gandolfo, into the courtyard. And it was a beautiful experience because you go early, to get set up. And also in Castel Gandolfo, if you're not invited inside, there were like jumbotrons you could watch from the outside the audience. But luckily we were inside, and it was us and a few other people, and then holy people. So nuns and priests, monks. And the nuns from all around the world, not just Italy, they were singing hymns in different languages. It was absolutely beautiful. So I was really glad that we went early and waited. And the courtyard isn't very big. I would say it was just maybe a couple hundred people there. So it was a small audience. And then Pope Benedict came out on the balcony, and we were joking that he was so close that, my son, being a baseball player, could have tossed a Nerf ball up there and hit the Pope. So I think it was kind of a special thing that we ended up going to Castel Gandolfo instead of seeing the Pope Pope's audience in Rome, because obviously in Rome, the Pope comes out onto the balcony, but you're in St. Peter's Square and there are thousands of people there all the time. And some of them are chanting, some of them are protesting, some of them have signs. And so it was a special thing to see Benedict. I luckily got to go to Mass, Easter Mass with Pope Francis, but we do hope to get back there while he is still in office. So I'm going to have Notebook LM, the Voices of Notebook LM, talk about the Peach Festival and the other festivals, and they're also going to discuss more the Papal Palace itself. But I wanted to tell you some of the other interesting sites in town. In the 17th century, when the Papal Palace was built, the Church of St. Thomas of Villanova was also built. Everything in Castel Gandolfo in that main area by the Papal Palace is super, super easy walkable. You enter through the gate to town from your car, and it's not a hill. It's a hill town, but you're on the top of the hill, so you're not going up and down 100 stairs. So if you don't feel like your mobility is as good to be running around Rome, this is a town you can visit. It's a flat and straight street, maybe a little bit of a hill, but no steps, and easy to get around. And the Church of St. Thomas is just right up from the Papal Palace, built in 1658. And it's got a beautiful main altar and some frescoes. We were there. I was there last. When I was there last, they were preparing for Easter. And so I got to see that, the church getting prepared for the Easter celebrations. And if you go in the morning, the dome in the church is especially beautiful. Another site that you'll visit in town is the Piazza della Libertà. When we were there, there was a bride and groom just getting their pictures taken. So it was really fun to see. We also saw some, at the time, because the Pope was in residence, we saw some bishops in their red robes walking around. And so we had a great time. There's also an incredible viewpoint. So when you're on that main street, if you just go a little bit behind the buildings, there's a viewpoint over the lake, and the lake is so blue. A volcanic lake, absolutely stunning, and it's a great viewpoint. And then there's also restaurants along that walkway. So it's a great place to have lunch and enjoy the view. When you enter into town, you're going to enter through the Porta Romana. That's a 17th century gate with the coat of arms of Pope Alexander VII. And then there's also the gardens there. So the gardens are available for you to enter and walk through, beautiful gardens. So highly recommended, especially if you're there in the spring for the flowers or the summer. That's a great place to visit. So I will talk more about the Castelli Romani, which are the hill towns that are close to Rome, where these emperors and Romans have gone to sort of get away from the heat of Rome and the crowds in the summer for centuries. And so we'll talk more about the towns of the Castelli Romani in other episodes. But now I'm going to hand you off to the Voices of Notebook LM, who are going to talk about the Peach Festival, the other festivals, as well as some detail about the Papal Palace. I hope you enjoy it.
Ready for a little escape to Italy? Today, we're doing a deep dive into Castel Gandolfo. It's a town right on Lake Albano, not too far from Rome. We've got some interesting sources here. One's all about their Peach Festival, and the other is like a walking tour guide. It tells you all about the town.
What's cool about Castel Gandolfo is that it's more than just pretty views. It's a place where history and nature and culture all kind of mix together.
Yeah, let's start with that Peach Festival. I'm picturing like the whole town is just covered in peaches. Fresh peaches, peach drinks, jams, cakes. Oh, even peach gelato. Am I close?
You're getting there. The Sagra della Pesce, they call it. It's a big celebration of their farming history. And their connection to the Pope is really strong, like woven into the peaches themselves, literally.
Okay, now I'm really curious. Peaches and the Pope, what's the connection?
Well, offering baskets of peaches to the Pope, it's not just like a symbolic thing.
Yeah.
It goes back to 1626, Pope Urban VIII. He was a Barberini,
Yeah.
And he specifically wanted peaches from Castel Gandolfo. He loved them. Said they had a special flavor. It kind of made the town's farms important to the Vatican.
Wow, so this festival actually shows a relationship between the town and the papacy that's been going on for centuries.
Exactly. And it's not just history. Even today, they have this parade with costumes all leading to the Pontifical Palace, and then they offer the peaches to the Pope.
I can picture it, the costumes, the smell of peaches, everyone waiting to give the Pope these local peaches. It must be amazing to see.
Oh, it is. And it shows how connected Castel Gandolfo is to its farming and its relationship with the Pope.
Okay, I gotta ask about this Papal Palace. Our walking tour guide says it's even bigger than Vatican City. Is that even possible?
It's true. Hard to believe, right? This summer house is 135 acres. Vatican City is only 109. It shows how much influence the Pope had outside of Rome. The palace itself is a mix of different types of architecture.
Okay, I see towering walls, big courtyards, maybe some secret gardens. Tell me about the architecture.
You'll see that Renaissance style, symmetrical Roman arches, especially in the original building. But it's been added to over the years. You'll see some Baroque extravagance too, intricate sculptures and dramatic lighting.
So peaches, a huge palace, and architecture from different times. What else is there in Castel Gandolfo?
Well, it's not just the Peach Festival in the summer. They've got the Palio del Drago boat race on Lake Albano in June.
And the boat race, that sounds awesome.
It's a sight to see. And then there's a monthly antique fair, the Mercatino Profumo de Antico per la Via del Borgo. It's a gold mine for people who love old stuff.
Wow. So much history, culture, nature, and even a little competition. Castel Gandolfo really has its own vibe. What about the Papal Palace? What's it like inside?
Imagine walking in, you cross this threshold of history, and you're in the Swiss Hall.
Swiss Hall, what's so special about it?
It's got these amazing frescoes. They show scenes from the Swiss countryside. Imagine all these colors and details, like you're stepping into a postcard.
Sounds really grand. Is that what the whole palace is like?
Definitely. And from there, you might go into the throne room. Now, this room is all about history and power. High ceilings, decorations, that feeling of grandeur,
The throne room. I bet some really important stuff happened there. Decisions made, agreements signed.
They say Pope Pius XII gave his wartime radio broadcasts right from there. His words went out to a world at war.
Wow. From pronouncements of peace to offers of peaches, it sounds like this palace has seen everything.
Oh, yeah. And we're just starting to discover its secrets.
So what's next? What's after the Swiss Hall and the throne room? I'm ready to go deeper. So we've seen the Swiss Hall, all fancy, and the throne room full of history. What else is hidden in this papal palace?
From power and history, we go to a place that's, more peaceful. The Papal Chapel. It's not like a giant cathedral, It's smaller, more for personal prayer and reflection.
Makes sense. Even popes need some quiet time, right? Away from all the official stuff.
Exactly. And then there's what a lot of people say is the best part, the papal bedroom. Imagine waking up in a room with a balcony overlooking Lake Albano.
Wow, just the view would be incredible. But what about the room itself? Is it super decorated, all fancy furniture fit for a pope?
Our sources don't really say, but I guess it's more about comfort than showing off. It is a summer house after all, a place to escape the heat and the stress of Rome.
I get it. More about relaxing than being fancy. Still, waking up to that view would be pretty amazing.
Absolutely. And it's not just the palace that's impressive. Remember those Barberini gardens?
Yeah.
They're worth a closer look. They're more than just pretty. They've got a secret right there in the gardens.
Oh, yeah. The Roman ruins. So what makes them so special? Is it just because they have these ancient ruins there?
Well, yeah, partly. But it's also how they've blended the old and the new. The Barberini gardens are, a mix. You've got formal Italian gardens, but then, bam, you find these archaeological discoveries. They've even made the ruins of Emperor Domitian's villa part of the design.
That's so cool. And walking through time, right? You're in these planned gardens and suddenly you're looking at something from a totally different time, peeling back layers of history.
Exactly. And it shows how much depth Castel Gandolfo has. You've got the Papal Palace, centuries of power. And right under it, remnants of the Roman Empire, even older history.
Makes you wonder what else might be hidden there. Speaking of the palace, we talked about its history, but not what it means for the town now that it's open to the public.
That's a big change. For centuries, it was only for the Pope and his closest people. It was all secret and traditional.
Yeah, a hidden world. Now anyone can just buy a ticket. I wonder how that'll change Castel Gandolfo. Will it still be this peaceful place? Or will it become a big tourist spot?
Good question. It's like the town's at a crossroads, trying to keep its history, but also be more modern and open.
Finding that balance is its charm.
Absolutely. It's a debate happening right now in Castel Gandolfo. As more people discover it, it'll be interesting to see how the town handles all this and what it becomes.
Thinking about everything we've learned, Castel Gandolfo is full of contrasts. It's steeped in history and tradition and religion, but it's also changing, opening up.
Yeah, it's like Italy in miniature, right? Ancient and modern, all mixed up.
And it has this peaceful feeling, like time has stood still, but it's also lively. The Peach Festival, the boat races, the antique markets, peaceful and exciting at the same time.
It reminds us that even in a quiet corner of the world, there are always stories happening. waiting for us to find them. You know, we've explored the Papal Palace, we've wandered through those historic Barberini gardens, we even experienced the Sagre del Pesce, all through these sources. But something's missing.
You're right, we talked about the landmarks, the events, the important people, but we haven't really talked about the people who live there.
Exactly. To really get Castel Gandolfo, we need to learn about the locals, their traditions, their thoughts on this changing place they call home.
That's what we'll do in our next deep dive. We'll move from palaces and gardens to the everyday lives of the people who make Castel Gandolfo what it is. We saw the Papal Palace, explored those Barberini gardens, and even tasted those famous peaches. Well, at least in our minds. But now it's time to meet the people who actually live in Castel Gandolfo. What's it like to live in a place with so much history and nature and, papal influence?
Imagine life, a bit slower than the rush of Rome, where everyone knows your name. And traditions are, well, really important, passed down through generations.
It does sound like a different world, away from the crowds, where time moves differently.
That's Castel Gandolfo for you. And a lot of people there say that strong community is what makes it special. They're proud of their history, their farms, and that link to the Pope. That's what makes their town unique.
I bet there are so many stories passed down through families who've lived there forever. Stories about the Pope visiting, memories of festivals, maybe even run-ins with the Swiss Guard at the palace.
Oh yeah, definitely. Those stories are everywhere. They're part of daily life. They shape the town's identity and bring people together. But Castel Gandolfo isn't stuck in the past. It's changing, just like everything else.
Right. We talked about the Papal Palace opening up to the public and the train to Vatican City. Those are big changes. How are the locals handling it all? Are they happy about it or worried about what it means for their town?
It's a mix, Some are happy about more tourists. It's good for business. They see it as a chance to show off their town, its beauty and culture, maybe bring in some money and create some jobs.
Yeah, that makes sense. Share what's special about their town with more people.
But there are also worries. Some people think too many tourists will change things too much, put a strain on the town, maybe even ruin that small town feeling that makes Castel Gandolfo so unique.
That's a tough spot for a lot of towns with history, trying to protect the past and at the same time be open to the future.
Exactly. It's a conversation happening right now. As more people visit, it'll be interesting to see how they keep that balance.
Thinking about everything we've discovered, Castel Gandolfo is full of surprises. It's got all this history and tradition and religion, but it's also changing, becoming more open to the world.
It's like a tiny version of Italy itself, ancient and modern, all together.
It's got that peaceful, timeless vibe, but it's also lively. The Peach Festival, the boat races, the antique markets. It's calm and exciting all at the same time.
It reminds us that even in the quietest parts of the world, there's something new to discover, a different way of life.
So why should you, our listener, care about a little town on a lake near Rome? What's the point of all this?
Castel Gandolfo shows us that travel isn't just about checking off the famous sites. It's about finding those hidden places, the ones that surprise you with their beauty, their history, and the people who live there.
It's about going off the beaten path, taking a chance, and being open to new experiences and stories.
And hey, who knows? Maybe you'll end up in Castel Gandolfo yourself, experience it firsthand, wander those streets, taste those legendary peaches.
Until then, keep exploring, keep looking for those hidden gems, and keep those deep dives going.
Happy travels.